Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, we have our weekly family podcast, Big Sam and Nephews, and Nathan's aboard. We got Marcus. Marcus owns us on. Marcus has known me for 26 years, Marcus. I don't believe that, but if you say so,
20 years. 26
How long have
years.
How long have I known you, Nathan?
I was 24.
What?
He was 24 when you met him. Oh man.
I was 24 when you met me, Sam. I just got out of college, and
No, where'd you go to college?
Hawaii.
Son of a gun.
So I don't know if you remember, I came up there because TP was training me because I was going to the Summer Pro League out in Long Beach.
Oh, right. It's all coming back to me now.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I was, and that's how we met.
Unbelievable. And then Nathan, I've known Nathan for what, 40 years?
Yo, at least, probably
At
more
least.
like, right.
Wow.
50 years. Say it out loud. 50, half century.
Man. Hey, I'm an old dude, man. But you
Oh,
know
good.
what? You don't get to be this old by being stupid. Even though I've done some stupid things, you don't get to be this old by being stupid.
That is very true.
You know,
That's a fact.
but make a good point.
But I've done some stupid things in my lifetime. So I was not clean. I was never, ever, and I'm not above reproach. But, anyway.
We're all human, you know?
Right, we are. We definitely are.
I see that every work.
But the other thing, like I say, I usually try to book these guests about 2 weeks out, but things happen, Marcus had a basketball, his son had a basketball game. By the way, did your son win, Marcus? Or he's in a basketball camp?
It was a camp. Basically, it was kids looking against pretty much on the radar for Pepperdine.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So, yep.
Okay.
So we were there for a good 5 hours.
Wow.
They
That's
did some drills, and then they start playing. Exactly. I
Is
had
he
my breaks.
Is he a hooper?
Go ahead.
Is
That
your son
he
a
is.
hooper? Oh,
That he is.
cool.
Yeah.
That he is.
Nice.
Here he is right here. Let's see if I can show him to you.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
boy.
Oh.
I don't think he can hear you.
Oh, that's good.
I have it in my ear, but
Right.
I don't know if you remember his mom.
Yeah, I remember his mom.
Alicia. Yep.
Yeah, I remember
Yep.
Felicia. That I do. I remember her. But she was from California originally.
Exactly.
Right.
That's her.
Yeah, she was out here, and then you came out to Cali.
Yep.
Okay.
I left Minnesota. Actually, we left Minnesota to move to Arizona.
Oh.
And then you remember Rod, Big Bob, my mentor,
Bob.
the big fella. So
Oh yeah.
I ended up working for him for a good 8+ years. Started off in customer service.
Okay.
Worked my way up to a director of sales within 8 years. And then they had an opportunity for me to move to Arizona. And I couldn't pass it up because I wanted to get out of Minneapolis. It was too cold.
Right. That is true.
So-
It is cold there.
Like,
So I ended up moving to Arizona, and it was a good time because we were in wonderful weather and was able to grab a house, and the market was doing well. So we enjoyed that for a minute, and then we ended up bouncing to California.
Okay. Well, there you go. And that is the story for Marcus. See?
so how did you Arizona weather, Marcus?
How was the Arizona weather? It's one of those places where, you get a pool and everyone's like, oh, you're rich. No, a pool is not a luxury in Arizona. It's a necessity.
No. Right.
Yeah, definitely a must have. I definitely agree. I used to live there and I know. Definitely a
Whew.
must-have.
Must have. And then you're going to also have to have the sprinklers or the misters around your home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because it is hot, and you get 9 months of hell. It was the opposite of living in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. It's hot.
Well-
I came back from England. You know, I had about a few weeks off. In England, and you know, over there, I'd been there for 3 years, and 80 is like hot to them.
Right.
It was where I went to Arizona, and man, it was 95 or something in February, and I just thought, my goodness, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Arizona does have.
I'd rather take that than take
Yeah.
that 50 below zero in February in Minnesota.
Oh man, Sam, I remember those days where, I mean, you could walk outside and you would breathe and your nostrils would stick.
Right. They definitely
Like,
would.
oh, I couldn't take that anymore. I was like, nope, I'm out of here. And like I said, I got the first opportunity. Bob was like, okay, you can move out to Arizona and manage Albertsons, because Albertsons was my big account out there. And they were just blowing up. So I had to manage that. And I was so happy with that.
Right. Wow. Well, you know, the one thing about the weather, you know, because I tell people all the time, even here, it gets hot here, but I said, I'd rather do this than Minnesota. But I don't even know why I stayed so long, but I stayed a long time. Made a lot of friends, got a lot of associates still out there, some friends, but a lot of people I bring on are going to be from Minnesota in there most of the times. But I just, you know, after a while, man, it just, you know, and I kept thinking, I said, man, where was I going to move to? Not ever knowing that, you know, God was going to change everything around for me in my life. So he changed it around. And I ended up in Fresno, and I'm not regretting it. Because, you know, sometimes you move, you say, well, did I make the right move? And I was like, no, I made the right move. I'm back, because I'm a West Coast boy. I'm not a Midwest guy. I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry, Marcus.
Right. Hey, I'm a Midwest guy, but when I was in 10th grade, I said to myself, I've got to figure a plan to get myself up out of here. And I've been able to do that.
What are some of the differences, guys?
As far as the Midwest and the West Coast?
Yeah.
Poof. You don't have to, like, during the wintertime, you don't have to worry about putting on that fluffy 15 pounds.
For real.
No,
You know,
no equipment out here.
Say that again.
Out here, you don't have to put on any equipment, huh?
No extra equipment needed.
Well, you know,
At
one thing
all.
I've found is that the women are scared.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just gonna say,
Come on, man.
they're scantily clad, and I don't mind that.
Oh,
I'm just
you're about
saying.
you're about to be banned like Charles Barkley.
No,
Nope,
man.
because I
Antonio.
just said scantily clad, and I
Wait,
leave it at that.
Did I hear somebody say Barkley and Victoria's Secret San Antonio?
Exactly. Exactly.
I dated a girl from Michigan and came out here to continue school. And I said that, you know, California, Sacramento seems like the Midwest of California. She just said, no, not really, you know. And I never really understood why. I know the weather's different, but I kind of wondered about, I don't know, socialization and, you know, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I just, I think that I was sort of focused on size and the fact that Sacramento, for instance, is kind of it's a family town, a state workers town. It's, I think that the city fathers don't ever want this to be, you know, as fast as LA or as cosmopolitan as San Francisco. That's what I was basing it on, but I didn't really spend, I'm retired Air Force, some of you know that, but I didn't really spend much time in the Midwest, both coasts and Europe, but not a lot of experience in the Midwest.
Well, I can tell you because I'm from Sacramento, lived in the Midwest 35 years, but there is a difference. And I'll tell you the biggest difference is I don't regret moving there, but because I moved there, I lived in Arkansas for like a year. And I said, man, I got to get out of here because now Arkansas is the most backwardest, racist city and one of the racist cities in America. Probably worse. Mississippi's right down there too. But it just, and so anyway, I moved up, but being there and moving up north, but then of course you got up north and then you ran into bouts of racism there too. Because I'll never forget many, many years ago, when I worked for the Timberwolves, a good friend of mine was on the air with us this year. He was my manager and I was assistant manager. And then he sent me to Weaver, Minnesota, right? And it was in the wintertime too. And I never forget, I had to get up, get in that Hummer. You remember the Hummer, Marcus? Yeah, I had to drive a Hummer.
Oh, yeah.
About 4 hours due west, kind of up and then over or west by North Dakota. It was on the border of North Dakota, South North Dakota, Minnesota. I just got there, like supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. I probably got there like 10 minutes to 9. And then changed my clothes and everything. And of course, when I walked in there, they seen this black man, right? And the kid didn't say no. I mean, you're talking about dropping a pin, you can drop a pin. But fortunately for me, I have a gift for gab, and I have making friends with white people and everybody in America. So I actually
that you do, Sam.
I had to spin the ball on my finger, and a little kid came out of the audience and spun. I put the ball on his finger, and it stayed spinning some more, and they loved it. And after that, man, they were just, they're asking me tons of questions. And of course, that was it. It's PR.
That's all it really
right.
is.
That's all it is. So a lot of times, people say, well, they say, well, you can go in a redneck bar and make friends. I said, I have gone to a redneck bar and made friends.
Right.
So,
I think that people are people, and trends run, I think, pretty consistent throughout, the races and the variations.
Right.
I think that when we're true to, I don't know, objective in our thought, that the way I see it, we focus on a person's character. First and foremost, that's 99% of the deal. Now, I realize that in certain regions, because of history and because of what people were taught, that, you're more or less likely to run into whatever, right? Whatever sort of human thought pattern, whatever sort of human condition. I'm trying to be polite and not go too deeply into like the South, hey, whatever, right? Yeah, there are good people down there. I remember being last time I was in South Carolina, a guy said, something that was, I couldn't go to court and say, well, he's, said something straight racist, but I know the implication, okay? But then there was a very nice Caucasian young lady that went out of her way to make me feel very comfortable, and like, it's almost like she was making sure that he knew that she was disregarding him, you see? So when I think that story, I focus much more on her. And nobody flirted with me. She invited me to her house, basically, Yeah, well, I don't know. It was like she was having a barbecue and said, well, you're out here visiting, and hey, what are you doing, tomorrow afternoon or something like that. But I think that she said it as much for him as for me. It's like, you know what, people like you have been disregarded. And she's from there too, but people like you have been disregarded. You're old school. You matter less and less, sort of thing, and made sure to make me feel comfortable. So I look at the whole thing overall. I tend to focus on, well, you know what, if somebody is so hateful that they have it in for me, I want to know who that is so I don't turn my back on them, true enough. But I think that I try to spend the majority of my time on people that, are of upstanding character, somebody that I'm happy to make friends. I don't care what they look like, right? Yeah. So
I
yeah,
just call it. I was gonna say, I just call it. I just think it's like breaking down barriers. You know what I'm saying? Since
Right.
I've been in Arizona, Texas, um, New York. I'm in Chicago right now, so I used to work in Chicago for many years. So I think I've been a lot of different places where you get different kind of racism, and you know, I think the one that you see, the one that I can see coming, I'm cool with. It's good. I know that you don't like me. Cool. But the ones that really kill me is, oh my God, you're my friend, but then you want to stab me on my back. But then at the same time, you know, especially being in professionals, then you start seeing how people move, and even if they have a bad inclination about me or my race or a race, period. I always, like Uncle Bernard said, I always make jokes and make friends. So it never, even the most racist guy that I ever worked with before, he was like, man, you know what? You're my buddy, man. You want to come out to my house? I'm not coming out to your house, but as long as we have some mutual respect, we cool. There's nothing else. I don't have time to, deal with the negativity and all that other stuff, man. I'm like, whatever, dude. Bye. You're
yep.
in the
Well,
circle.
Unfortunately, racism, it runs deep in America like apple pie and baseball.
I don't know that.
Unfortunately, and there's
absolutely.
different classes of it. Sam, remember we used to always say Minnesota nice?
Right.
Back in Minnesota, that was a form of racism. I mean,
Right. Oh my
I
God.
mean, it is so embedded deep right now where classism, that's racism's cousin.
Right.
Right.
It is.
That's what the world is kind of turning to right now,
That's the
where
biggest problem.
there's classes.
Right. A lot of that is
I'm sorry, you start to scale. I didn't
right.
catch the last one.
Well, lots of that I think is based on socioeconomics.
Big time. Unfortunately, that's how it's. But at the end of the day, I don't care how many millions, billions you have. At the end of the day, if Oprah Winfrey, she's still yes. I don't want to say that word, but at the end of the day, she's still categorized.
Oh, come on, Marcus, say it. Say it.
Minds of some,
but
yeah, I don't think that all or even most of any one kind of person is one particular way. It always comes down to the individual. A cousin of mine, for instance. I mean, I don't want to get too political in this kind of thing, politics and religion, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's do it, man.
Well,
Come on,
well,
strap it up. Strap it up, Nathan.
But Sam, I haven't even said anything. You know what I do in my other life, right?
Right.
No, I don't want to be like, we have a famous person that's in a little hot water right now because of what he did at the Academy Awards, right? So you can say the wrong thing, right? But I'm telling you my heart. I'm speaking my heart, right? Cousin of mine said that he's a pretty sharp dude too. He passed away recently, got cancer. He's a little older than me. We were talking, and a couple of years before he died, sort of thing. We spent a lot of time on Facebook talking, whatever. And he said that it's impossible, for instance, for a Black person to be racist. I said, come on, you really don't really believe that, do you? He said, well, yeah, because we were the victims. I said, okay, while we as a group might not have the power to affect big change racially, or to implement our, less than animus feelings toward any particular group, we don't really have the power to do that, or the mindset, frankly. But that doesn't mean that just because a person's skin is black, they can't be racist. Conversely, he didn't say this, but I kind of wondered, I asked him once, I said, well, do you think that every Caucasian person is a racist, right? And, I do think I asked him that. He didn't give me the affirmative, which I was thankful for, because I don't believe that, right? Most people, regardless of what what race they are. They want to pay their mortgage, take care of their kids, have a little fun in life, work, retire. Yeah, that doesn't change, you see. Now, people, because of our history, we don't have a great history in this country. You know, it's kind of like you plant a bad seed and, you know, you have to work real hard to make that tree healthy, right? Well, it's the same thing here, if I'm just going to put it out there, right? So yeah, we have ways to go. You know, I've lived in many, many places around the world. We have ways to go to, you know, sort of clean up our act and get rid of all that lousy mindset. And I'll say this and get off the soapbox. I think in spite of the, you know, the steps back that we took because of the last administration, you know, the supremacists are going crazy, right? And they feel bold and all this. I'm a teacher, right? I'm in school with kids every day, you know, middle school, high school, typically. I can tell you guys for sure that attitudes in the young are changing, and it's going to be very difficult. It gets more and more difficult as time goes by for, you know, the biases of grandparents and parents to pass down truly. I mean, they can say what they want, but the kids now have seen everybody do everything. Female principals, you know, doctors of color, a president like Obama, you know, they've seen all that. And it's like, it's just not a thing. You see, much, much less than, let's say, you know, certainly 50, 60 years ago, but even, you know, 20 or 25 years ago. So a step forward, one step back.
Yeah, you know, and it's just my own belief. I could be wrong, but there are some of our people that are just, you know, I think we sort of have a little bit more class discrimination because, you know, being an uppity Negro, that sort of thing. You remember that? Remember that? Being an uppity Negro. Yeah, you think, you know, remember that? We heard that saying. Or the other thing was we used to hear people say, he's bougie. You know, the bougie people, thought they were better than,
That breaks my heart.
You know, and
successes.
Right. And so that's kind of where we get caught up at as a race. We get hung up on that because, you know, I am out and about pretty much every day. You know, I ride the bus now and I go walk up to the bus stop and I literally, every single time I go to the bus stop, I meet somebody else, somebody just in conversation, just in talking to these people. Some people are homeless. Some people aren't, because the homeless situation is all across America, because you can look, the Native Americans in Minnesota probably are the biggest set of people that are homeless. There are African Americans that are homeless here, but there aren't a lot of people of color that are living in Minnesota. Now, and go to Chicago. Look at the homeless there. A lot of people of our persuasion are also homeless. But I guess the thing is that you look, I see it every single day.
Homeless is Chicago. Boy, that's good.
And so, you know, to be homeless in Chicago or in Minnesota is horrible. It be anywhere. It don't necessarily, because the same thing here, if it's hot as heck here and you're homeless, you gotta have water. You know, you gotta look at it, and people are always dying, you know, because of that, you know, situation. So a lot of times people are you can't, my thing is you just can't look down on somebody, because my dad used to always say, you have a step away from being homeless yourself. And it was true. It was true. You know?
Yeah. I remember grandma used to say that all the time, and it was, you know, it was something just to grow up, because I try to tell, like, me and Marcus, we're one generation past what you guys grew up in, you know,
right.
And we're one generation out of Jim Crow. We're one generation out of you know, national racism, national laws.
Which is scary to think that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like think about it. Emmett Till was murdered. What was it? 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. About 60 years ago.
And that lady is still living. 96
Right.
years old. I'm sorry.
Right.
She needs to go to jail. They need to put her in Rikers.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah.
him in.
Yeah. No doubt.
I mean,
No doubt.
hey, they persecuted Bill Cosby.
Yes. Oh, she needs to go there. Oh, yeah. She needs to get in it. Look, I don't care. I don't care if you get 10. Do 2 months. I don't care. But
Exactly.
give my 14-year-old little brother some justice. Give his mom some peace of mind. Like that. That doesn't make any sense. And that's something that I tell people is, like I said, Nathan, is, can blacks and can Hispanics, can we all be racist? We have racist undertones everywhere.
Always. Always.
We go to Puerto Rico all the time, and it's a racist undertone that, coming from our parents or our grandparents that,
Right.
that they had to deal with this racism. I remember my grandmother will say, and Uncle Bernard, you probably know that don't trust white people just because she grew up in this kind of section of we can't trust white people. So this is what I was taught, or
But
this
is
what
that
I heard.
prejudice? I got a question. Is that prejudice? Or, if you would touch a white person or look at them or you tell them something, it could shorten your lifespan. So I don't think that's racist or prejudice. That's like, here's the deal. You better be safe than sorry.
Yes, I agree. But when you start looking at generalizations of other people that you don't know them, that's where you start crossing this little line. So there's a gray area that we have.
Right.
And so when you start generalizing people just the same way that we don't want to be generalized by anybody else, of, oh man, all blacks and Hispanics and all these guys are all lazy, they don't take care of the kids, blah, 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 blah. Well, you're generalizing on the racism. So that's that gray line. And I totally agree, you know what I'm saying? But, as we got older, my grandmother came out of that, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, you know what? This is how you deal with them. But she had a bet, but Uncle Bernard could attest to this, and probably, we have these stories that you can attest to why this person thought this way. My grandmother had to leave because she was going to be killed. Like literally, because she slept a white girl for being bad.
Yeah.
So she had to go to California.
Because gang of those stories.
Exactly. We have, you have people that look. What was the Uncle Frank that was having an issue? All these things happen, and it's just like, I just know how to move. You know what I'm saying? My mother and my grandmother, my grandfather, they were great historians to tell me, and my uncles were great historians to tell us how to move as men, or as people of color. Right. So that's something that we, even I try to pass down to my kids, and not just my kids, but all the kids. Anybody who I see, I'm like, man, you guys can't move like this, man. This is gonna lose your life.
One of the things growing up that your grandmother used to always tell us, you cannot, still today, I believe this in my heart, you cannot do what you see white people do.
Oh no.
Now that's true. That's a fact.
Yeah, it depends. We would be judged differently, especially as Black males, true enough. But to answer your question, you asked if what your grandmother said years and years, decades ago, probably, if that's prejudice. If you look at the word prejudice at its root meaning, prejudge. It's not racist. I mean, it's not necessarily race. You can prejudge. I'm going to the Giants versus the Blue Teams game on Tuesday, and I prejudge that they're going to whoop that ASS. Okay. But the thing is, so I think I was going to answer, but Marcus adroitly answered this before me. It's a combination of, it's prejudging, yes, but it's based on the need to, it's in the attempt to survive. thinking that, you know what, I might walk past 99 fantastic people, but that 100th might just feel it's his or her right to grab a rope and take me to the nearest tree, right? So it's
Right.
prejudged, but it's based on survival.
Safety. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
So we had to be prejudged to be safe, somewhat safe. And not prejudge, but just say, I'm not even say prejudge. We had to judge right away. Like, hey, that's just, I mean, think about it. You go drink at a white water fountain.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
Right.
So there's a punishment. There's repercussions for that. And unfortunately, we've had some wicked things done to us. And we've had the mirror flipped on us where wicked things were done to us, but we look like the animals and the evil people.
Correct.
And no, let's really look at the content of what has happened to us and what is continuing to happen to us. And I continue to paint this picture of us as people.
It is just my opinion. I keep this all about my opinion. Is that when I was a child growing up, I was the first African-American boy to play in Fruit Ridge Little League. The first African-American boy. And back then, I never felt any differently. No one ever said anything, foul to me at all. They loved me because I could play. But with that, I remember my dad mentioned one time I hit a home run, right? Well, this white man was sitting right next to my parents, and the guy said, "This nigga sure can hit." And of course, my mother took her umbrella, started beating the man. Of course, my dad had to pull her off. But
I could have got the whole family lynched.
Right. But I never experienced an ill situation at all. Never did.
Really?
Really,
Sam, never?
Never did.
Okay, lynching, nobody gets it, they don't, I think lynching has changed, right? And that's one of the most dangerous things about what I call the backlash of Obama, right? The guy that got in after President Obama would have never in 1,000 years been elected had it not been for, in my opinion, for a desire to just show, all right, we'll show you. He won. That wasn't the problem. It was kind of cute, many people thought of it. When he got
two terms he was in office, 2 terms.
I know, but it was that second term that just pissed some people. It's like, get back. Who do you think, how dare you, right?
Right.
Think that
exactly, we gotta make you niggers pay.
I mean, you could cut the hair with a knife in the minds of some, right? Not all, but some. And I think that there is, the most radical wing of that pushback has just gone completely. They went back to the 1950s, and so I believe, sort of buttressed by the FBI field study, right? The FBI did a long, pretty comprehensive study where they would take young agents and have them just sneak into police departments to see if supremacists and KKK types were joining police departments, as the rumors said, right? So they wanted, gauge it for themselves. It came back overwhelmingly across the country in every state that was the motivation. If you notice, you don't see guys with skinheads walking around in military regalia, right? You don't see that anymore. There was a mantra. It said, lose the boots, get suits. That means stop dressing like a skinhead, right? And identifying, blend in, and then you can continue the way that you think. And one of the main things was join police departments. All you need is a high school diploma to be, in most states, I think, 21 years old, right?
That's it.
Almost 21 years old, no record. You can apply for the police department. And so
think about it.
And
in LA,
a huge uptick And, this is not my imagination. Once or a couple of times a month, there's an unarmed black male, almost always black male, right? More than any other race. Even, they're not kind to Latinos typically, but there's not this sort of agenda to go out and just shoot them for fun, or they shoot young.
They got a different.
So I see that, and I think that's the worst thing that Trump did. Number one. My next point, and I'll be brief with this, was a question actually based on what we were talking about. What do you guys think of CRT, critical race theory? Yay or nay?
Marcus, go first.
You want me to hold on? Oh, my car is jiggling. Okay. You want me to get the bomb thrown on me first?
Oh, look, I can get it cracking for the young folks.
I'm gonna let you get it cracking for the young folks, and I'll kind of follow up.
So this is what I think about CRT. I think CRT is something that the people made up. You know what I'm saying? So we can't. So so they're blatantly gonna whitewash everything. So this is just a whitewashing of history. This is a whitewashing of saying, hey, look, we can't. Even now in Texas, you can't talk about Martin Luther King. Like legally, this is not going to be in the curriculum anymore. Martin Luther King speech, no Marcus Garvey, no Black history, da 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 da. So you're going to go down the line. So that's number one on CRT. Number two is that, hey, look,
in
opposition
to CRT, right? Okay.
Number two, we want to stop being made out to be the bad guy. Even in history books, that that you're blatantly the bad person in these places, and that you might not teach it in school, but as we're growing up as children, we should still be teaching our kids about our history. No, we can't have any of that anymore. So if you talk about it, that's like saying that you're a communist. This is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be blanketed with. So that's what I feel. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, unfortunately, we have 10% of the people that run the media as well as run the military, so they can teach and make all the rules that they want to, because again, they control the media as well as the military. So until that changes, nothing is going to change. They will continue to dominate and do what the hell they want to do.
Right.
And I've come to a conclusion in my life. I used to think it was arrogance, and I don't even see it as arrogance anymore. I just see it as straight stupidity. And I'm gonna leave it right there.
Critical race CRT. Okay, George Washington never told a lie, chopped down the cherry tree, was a virtuous leader. Well, he was a slave owner. And to me, CRT is like, okay, in fact, 8 of the first 10 presidents were slave owners. Only the Adams, father and son, were not slave owners. They were staunch abolitionists. But 8 of the first 10 minus the Adams were slave owners, And to me, you know what? That's not a bad thing. It's just the truth, right? So I see CRT as telling the other side, telling the untold truth. And I think you do that. I strongly look. Math, English, and science first and foremost, but history is part of that. Let's teach the true history. That's what I see. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have it. I'll be honest with you. It goes back far as back as knocking the noses off of statues and to get rid of their identity.
Right.
So they will continue to belittle our race to make them feel better about themselves. And let's be honest. When it comes to education, where were the first books found? Universities.
Right. We're talking about Timbuktu and Mali and all these other places that had great universities, Baghdad, yada yada yada.
You know, I mean, when they're walking on all fours, we're teaching them how to eat and clean themselves.
Well, here's the deal, and it's just my own opinion again. I think it's really all about jealousy because they know that we run faster, jump higher. They know it. They know it.
Well, here goes this jealous part. I mean, just a little bit more history. So if you think about Mansa Musa, he's the richest person ever that could ever live.
But you never hear about
away gold. You're not gonna hear about it.
You're giving away
gold. Yeah, you're giving away gold. You're giving away gold. So you got to remember that, like you said, they're living in the caves and walking on all fours. They don't know how to cook. They don't know what an aqueduct is. They don't know what civilization is. They don't know what light is. They don't know what none of this stuff until they start seeing it. Like what? What again?
You really think they walked on all fours?
No, I don't. I'm just saying. But they was doing incest all the time though.
Exactly. Look at some of the kings that they had all types of deformities in their families.
And they were straight gay.
And so, I was about to hit that one too. When we were frowning up on that, like, lady boys, we would send our women to fight some of them cats.
Yeah. I mean,
the Kush went over there and kicked all their asses.
Yeah, all day.
On Hollywood, now I got nothing against anybody's choices.
Yeah, do you?
No doubt. I agree with that 100%. But I'm just my point of saying that is we, as we didn't bring all that. We were just, we were to ourselves. It's not in our history to be that way. So
that's not our culture.
Again, everyone do your thing, but that's not our culture.
Nope. I mean, you start thinking about like, again, me and Marcus are the same age. So, like Marcus, did you learn about, like when you learned about Alexander the Great, things like that? Did you learn about the war between him and Hannibal? You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. I learned Black people were slaves and we got slapped at lunch counters, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, you start thinking about it, it's like, oh, Alexander, yeah, he was a great dictator for Europe, but you couldn't beat up Hannibal. You couldn't beat up the guy who had 1,000 elephants. You can't beat that.
Exactly.
You can't. Like he's the one who stopped a lot of stuff, and you start thinking about it. Richard the Lionheart. Okay, Richard the Lionheart. You ran against Salahuddin. You can't beat him. He stopped the Crusades. Like all of this is stopped by Black men.
Exactly, and we had some nice women that were coming in and doing their thing as well. That would pass off golden bolts or golden arrows and say, you know what, keep this as a gift, or you'll need them.
Yes.
And leave little messages like that.
And
so sounds like it's at least 3 out of 4 are sort of in favor of CRT.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, I think it's 4 out of 4.
Okay. All right.
It's 4 out of 4. I believe.
I'm the youngest member of the group.
Do what?
Oh, no, he can't. I don't think he can hear us.
Cool.
I can.
No. Little basketball star.
Who? Marcus's son.
Right.
Oh no, he can't hear us at all. He's knocked out, sleeping. I got an earpiece in.
Sure. Right. Okay. Yeah.
But I also think that the other critical part to this, though, the other critical part to this year and the combating would be like how when our mothers and our grandmothers growing up, we need to still teach in our homes. We still need to teach these things because they're not going to get it in school, and we have to blatantly know this. Like, hey, look, you're going to teach this in school, cool. Let me teach you this opposite.
Agreed.
So
now, I'm a proud grandfather now, and I'm careful not to encourage anger, and even worse than, or just as bad as anger is, to say or teach anything to make her feel like less than. Never
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can tell you, with my children growing up, I used to make very light of the situation of like history, and to make them feel better about themselves. Like, all right, all you got to know is Black people were slaves and they had at lunch counters, and you should get at least an A in history, because none of that's true, but that's all you need to know. And we would laugh about that, and I would teach them about Mansa Musa and other people like that. And that has worked out where my children are very strong and have their own opinions, which I love.
Good.
And they are willing to challenge anybody that has something to say, and being somewhat disrespectful towards them and our race.
Good. You know,
I'm the
they're
exact same way.
amazing historical figures, right? But there are some current ones too, like Ali Dangote.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
Ali Dangote, and the fact that they're turning out, you know, the continent of Africa is turning out lots of billionaires, you know, starting, of course, with Aliko.
Yeah.
But so anytime, you know, a billionaire happens, dozens of millionaires happen underneath him or her, right?
Correct.
And, you know, I bet maybe
Right.
Oprah Winfrey, hey, look, this is what she did. She, you know, she had a show and she opened her own studio. Now she has a network, you know, these sorts of things. Because I think that the next Obama, the next Oprah, the next perhaps even Aliko has been born. You know, he or she might be 10, maybe 12 years old right now. We don't even know who that is, but there's probably not just one, there's probably 50 of them around, you see?
Yeah.
And I think that if we share those stories, that 50 turns into 100 or 200, you see? Where like by the time, you know, I'm an old man, it won't even be a thing. Won't even be worth talking about, because it's like,
Yeah,
so, see?
Well, that's just going back. That's how the word nigger, right? That word has been so desensitized now, because everybody in the rap songs, they the best comedian in the world, Dave Chappelle, always uses the word nigger, right?
Yeah, very. And sadly, my students, kids I have in class who are 13 or 14, not just Black kids, use that word. And it's not, I mean, they use that word, they use the B word, the P word, you know, and it's like, and then the F word, not the 4-letter. I'm talking about like if you're playing football and somebody missed the, oh, you're so, well, they're not the F word, but the G word, you know, oh, that's gay kind of thing. Because the dude, you know, it's like, it's not an insult, you know?
No.
Or, you know, like my N word, well, that means my friend, my buddy, right?
Right, absolutely.
Oh,
So they
B word kind of thing, right? To a young lady, and she's not even offended. They're not insults anymore. And I think that's dangerous, because for the kids, it's almost like nobody gets in a fight. I mean, man, when I was a kid, if you call somebody a B word, you're kind of a little uptight, thinking her big brother's gonna come to school the next day and tune you up kind of thing, you know? But
No doubt.
and so I hope that the kids don't start feeling like N words, and the women don't start feeling like B words.
But that's what the social media is putting out, though. So we have to always combat something else.
The music videos.
Yes. I mean, you
I think
know,
those words have been, go ahead.
No. I just think that, you know what I'm saying, I listen to the, you know, coming from the old school rap into the rap now, where, you know, you have the old Jewish white guys that are telling us, hey, look, you know what, you need to sell these records. And then you have KRS-One, you have all these other groups, you have even Kendrick Lamar, you know, J. Cole, like, I'm here for Lollapalooza in here. So I'm like, yo, like, I listen to J. Cole heavy. not because he's, he's this awesome gangster rapper. No, because he has a message. And the message
Socially
that you
conscious.
really, exactly. You're not talking, you coming from a place where you're not talking about drugs, guns, and alcohol, because they push Future, they push all these guys. Hey man, I'm like, what Future? What are you talking about? You talking about having threesomes and Molly?
Drugs.
Like what?
Exactly.
This is not what we can't be doing. Because this is not
Right.
what rap was came. This is not what hip hop came from. This is not what. This is not even what jazz and R&B came from. But we have all these people pushing these narratives. They have to push these narratives, and then we're sitting there learning the narratives.
You hit the nail on the head when you said, we're having our music dictated to us and telling us what we need to do. I can remember, I think you should remember this as well. Remember when Jay-Z said, I used to want to rhyme like Common?
Yep.
It didn't make sense.
Uh-huh.
And now, Jay-Z, he went that route for a minute, but now he's more socially conscious because he wasn't making the dough that he needs to make.
Yep.
Yes,
yep. Man. I mean, you have those rappers. You have Common, you have NWA, and I'm putting NWA in there because even though their words were brash and hardcore, but they still had that message like, yo, we're sick and tired of getting our heads beaten by this police guy. We're sick and tired of this racism up in Compton. You know what I'm saying? So people don't think it, they just think about, oh, Eazy-E said nigga, then, B. No. There's a message way past that we don't understand, that people don't understand. So you talk about Black Thought, Tribe Called Quest, you have all these other groups at that point in time, especially in the 90s, where they was just killing the game
right
with Black upliftment.
And you hit the nail on the head again when it's like back in the days when we would sing like 2250, when we would sing those Negro spirituals about the star going north or whatever, and we're basically like, yo, we about to run away tonight, and nobody understood what we were talking about. And it's the same thing in the music. So you hit the nail on the head again.
Yep.
They don't understand our music, and it is what it is.
Yep.
How are we looking for time?
We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay. Oh, I want to wrap it up. All right.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'll fill it up. What do you guys, I know we're short on time. Do you guys think reparations will ever happen?
No, never. We're the one race, because they hate for us is runs so deep in society that they're not gonna get.
That's not it. You want to know the real truth. That's part of it, but the other part is that we don't have classification of being a nation of where we're from. So that they give reparations to the Chinese, they give reparations to the Australians. They give hey, look, because they were Jewish and they were from this country, and then we go back and say, well, hey, we can't give you reparations because we don't know where you came from. And so this is how they hold it up inside of the Congress and the Senate and everything else. This is what's kind of been happening, is that because if they say, hey, look, we're going to give reparations to the African Americans, that means they have to admit that there was a truth.
Right. Openly. And they'll never ever want to admit. They're never going to admit the truth. We're going to go, the end of time will happen, and they'll never admit their wrongdoing.
I mean, same thing is happening in Israel. So it's the same stuff.
Right.
I'm going to be the outlier. I don't think it's impossible. Let me give you an example. Remember during 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, during the Democratic primaries, when there was still like 20 people on stage, 20 people in the field, 2 or 3, maybe 4 of them mentioned reparations.
Correct.
Frankly, I think that right along with Black people, Black Americans, okay, should be maybe even first should be the Native Americans.
Correct.
Enslaved, they made us work for free. The people just murdered them, right?
Yeah, that was straight genocide.
just
Straight to
straight,
the side.
just took the land. I think, frankly, I think that, well, in both cases, probably especially Native American, that a certain percentage of the GNP should be set aside for them. That's it, right? I mean,
Definitely.
holy smokes, they were dehumanized. I mean, so were we, right?
Right.
But I don't think it's impossible. I really don't.
Well, we'll have to continue this conversation next week. I got to ask my nephew really quickly. We can't do it next Saturday because I got to work. So can we do it on Thursday night?
Yeah, Thursday night should be good.
Okay. All right. Because I got to let my guests know we're going to switch to Thursday night. You'll
Same
be back at it. Same time, 6 o'clock.
Right.
Just be Thursday night instead.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be home by then.
Cool. All right. So anyway,
right.
I want to wrap this up. Thank Nathan for contributing. I also want to thank Marcus Owens. Marcus, we got to have you back on, player.
All right.
If you know, if you want.
He always has the deep ones. He always gets his deep. He always has the deep conversations.
Right. But you know, this is not a sports broadcast. It's not just because I'm in the business, but we talk about other things too. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, and we'll pick it up at another time. I'll have a different guest on next week, but I'd like to have Marcus come back on. Of course, you know, Nate always comes on, and my nephew Javier, you come on, and my other nephew is in Seattle on his way back to Atlanta. Parker, he'll be back on with us too. But I want
your boy who loves the blue team. I'm just saying.
Why you gonna slam Nathan like that? That was inappropriate, man. You know what? For that, I want to thank everybody. We'll be back next week. Big Sam Nephews. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Nice. Nice to meet you, gentlemen.
Thank you.